What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another video. This is Mr. Solo Dolo. Hope all is well with you guys, man. Hope y'all doing good. So this is going to be another 9 to 5 series discussion video. And this time it's going to be a little bit personal, because I'm going to talk about the time where I almost had a heart attack on the job, right? Now this happened about 5-6 years ago. And I just want to say this, man. Do not stress about the job that you are working. Do not overstress. You're going to go through stressful times at the job and whatnot. You're going to have times where you want to pull out your hair, you want to go crazy, you want to flip out on somebody. Things like that are going to happen. But you have to learn when to moderate your own emotions and moderate your temper, moderate, what you choose, how much energy you choose to give out, to give to a situation. If somebody is not showing up to do their job and they're calling out, or they're late, or they're not doing their job, do not stress about that. Do not stress about that. Because by you doing that, you're only working yourself up, right? You're working yourself up. Your blood pressure is increasing. And you see, at this particular job that I was working, I was a utility worker at a college, and this same situation happened to me. Now, I was going to the lockers to, I already had clocked out of work, going to my locker, get my stuff, and at the time I was taking a bus back home. And so as I'm getting my stuff, I happened to notice my temperature started to increase. I started feeling very hot, a little bit dizzy. I was very, very sweaty, and I'm like, okay, this is weird. I don't really get hot like this, because I knew it was a little bit hot in the atmosphere, but nah, man, my body temperature was way up, very abnormal. And then I started to notice my heart would rapidly start beating. It would rapidly beat faster and faster and faster. And that's kind of when I knew, like, oh shit, am I about to have what I think I'm about to have? And I kind of just, I stood there to, kind of see what was going to happen. I wasn't so sure if I was bound to have a heart attack or not. And mind you, this is 5 years ago. A heart attack. For someone that was my age, like around 21, 22, I should not even be talking about no heart attack, man. But I looked back and I realized, how stressed I was at that job. Because I was somebody that was showing up almost every day doing mostly all the work. I was the one working all the overtime. I was the one doing other people's job. If somebody needed something done, or I was given some type of task, a favor, I would do it, right? I was probably considered one of the best workers at that place, right? And I was, I'm not gonna lie, I was one of the best workers where I was working at, right? And there were times where people would not come to work and do their job. They wouldn't even show up, and, this was a job where, it was understaffed most of the time. The job itself had to keep hiring new people, because people would quit. They wouldn't come to work. So this would leave a lot of work for the ones that were working this job, that were still employed, that did not walk out, that did not get fired, right? There was more of a workload for people like me and other employees, right? The reality was we're short-staffed and people don't want to do this job, right? And I can see why. But for me, it was more like I felt like at that point that was the only job that I had that was available for me, right? I didn't think there was any other job for me to have at that time period, right? Like I was almost fearful of getting fired or leaving that job, right? So the stress was very high because the workload would be so much. And I realized I wasn't the healthiest at that time, 22. You know what I'm saying? When you got high blood pressure, man, at that age, that is a huge issue. That's a problem. You're not doing so well at that point. Like you're really messing up and dropping the ball on your health. And that's what I was doing. I was dropping the ball on my health. And I had to be honest with myself. The reason why I almost had a heart attack, and it was very scary, first and foremost. Very scary. I didn't know what was going to happen. The only thing I could have done at that point was to work on my breathing. That's all I could have done. I was sweating profusely, and my heart was beating very, very fast, man. Like, I thought it was gonna end at that point. Didn't know what was gonna happen. But it made me wake up and realize that I should not be stressing over some job that I can easily be replaced at. I'm just another body. That's how you're looked at. That's how you're viewed. And I'm not telling you to go to your job and half-ass it and not give a fuck about the job, but moderately choose how much energy you want to give to a situation. Don't overwork yourself. Do not do other people's job. Only do what your job description entails of, right? Do what your job description tells you to do when you're there, right? If somebody don't come to work, that's not your problem. That's the manager's problem. You don't stress about that. You don't stress about other people not doing their job, because at the end of the day, it's their loss, not yours. You're there, you're present, you're working your hardest, so don't stress about it. And that's what I did back then. I was stressing about people not doing their own job. I'm worried about other people not coming to work to do what they got to do, because it's making things harder for myself. And with the job that I was working at being so short-staffed, almost all the time, it never felt like there was ever enough help, right? So that just added on to the stress, But that was a lesson that I had to learn, to not stress about, things of the job that are out of my control. I can't control, on who comes to work or who don't come to work. I don't control, how much work an employee decides to do. That's not my responsibility. I don't hire nobody. I'm an employee just like everybody else. I'm on the same level just like everybody else when I'm there. The manager, the supervisor, they got to worry about that individual that chooses not to do their job, right? That want to slack off, So I just had to stop concerning myself with that mess. because it was just adding on to my stress. And that was a contributing factor of me almost having a heart attack on the job. And the scary thing was there was no one there, no one next to me. I was completely by myself in that moment, you know? So, and what I did, I breathed, I managed my breathing, I drank a lot of water, you know what I'm saying? To kind of, you know, get the sweating down and, you know, hydrate myself a little bit. So, very scary, man. You know, but that's what happens when you stress about the job that you're working at, you know. And I don't want that to happen to any of you guys that are on the 9 to 5, you know. If you find yourself getting overly stressed out, you know, step outside, take a breather, you know, get some water, you know what I'm saying? Separate yourself from the situation, because you don't want to make anything worse for yourself and worse for your health. You know, you can't control who comes to work and who don't come to work. That's nothing for you to worry about, you know. Stop worrying about, you know, who's not doing enough work, who's slacking, you know. That's just going to add on to your stress, man, in my opinion. And that's what happened. I was working all the overtime when they asked, you know. I was the one overworking myself when it really wasn't necessary, you know, and stressing about who didn't show up, you know, who wasn't doing their job. Those are the things I was worried about, right? And that was my problem. So those are the things, man, you can't be worrying about, man. And if you got to work overtime, take the overtime, you know, but no one's going to force you. Remember, no one can force you to do overtime if you don't want to, right? That's your choice, right? My point is, man, don't let a 9 to 5 stress you the fuck out, man, because it ain't worth it. And understand that the job that you're working right now, you can be easily replaced. Now, I'm not saying it's like that at every single job, but for a regular 9 to 5 job, like being a cashier, a retail worker, a utility worker, a construction worker, and whatnot, you can be replaced. So with that being said, man, you know, stress not, you know, put your health first, learn how to breathe in and breathe out properly, hydrate yourself, and don't be worrying about the stuff that's out of your control, man. So with that being said, thank you all for watching. This is Mr. Solo Dolo, and I'll be back with more content. Thank you all for watching. I'm out. Peace.